شبابا قد أنابا وإلى الله استجاب.
يقول المولى جل جلاله: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. أيها الإخوة الكرام and dear respected guests, Maryam, otherwise known as Mary, alayha salam, had a sister. This sister of hers was later to be called Yahya, the mother of Yahya, the Prophet alayhi salam. One day, Maryam sees her sister, Yahya, and she says, Ya ukhti, anti hamil? My dear sister, are you pregnant? فقالت نعم. She said, yes, I am. فقالت يحيى. So Yahya, her sister, replies, وأنت كذلك يا مريم? And you too? كأنك قد حملتِ. It seems as though you have fallen pregnant as well. فقالت مريم عليها السلام نعم. So Mary says yes. She affirms that she is also pregnant. So Yahya, her sister, tells her, إني أرى ما في بطني يسجد لما في بطنك. I feel as though that which is in my belly prostrating to that which is in your belly. And this was, of course, the prostration not out of worship, but the prostration out of respect, out of takreem and tashrif. Because this is how it was in the former shara'a, the previous legislations of the earlier prophets. And that's why we know that Allah, God the Almighty, He told the angels to prostrate to the Prophet Adam. Why? Not out of worship, but out of takreem and tashrif. And of course, now this has been cancelled out in the legislation, the final revelation of Al-Quran. So she said, I feel as though that which is in my belly prostrating to that which is in your belly out of respect. So they both hugged each other tightly and began to cry. Two amazing women, Maryam and Yahya alayhima as-salatu was-salam. And of course, who was in the belly of Maryam? None other than the honorable prophet and messenger Isa alayhi salam, otherwise known as Jesus, the son of Mary. So today's khutbah, today's sermon is dedicated to a man who has one of the most amazing personalities of human history. A man whom so much controversy surrounds. A man whom all three major religions of the world dispute over. And a man whom over 1.8 billion Muslims around the world love, respect and revere. And that man is none other than Jesus alayhi salam, also known as Jesus, the son of Mary. Why this topic today? There's no doubt we have entered the Christmas season. And this is a season in which many false notions and beliefs are attributed to this noble prophet and messenger Isa alayhi salam. And of course, as Muslims, it's part of our religion to defend the honor of another believer, another Muslim. If that is the case, to defend the honor of another Muslim, imagine the reward of defending the honor of not just another Muslim, but defending the honor of a prophet and messenger himself. For we have more right to Isa alayhi salam. Yes, as Muslims, we have more right to Jesus, the son of Mary, because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنا أولى الناس بعيسى بن مريم في الأولى والآخرة. I have more right to Jesus, the son of Mary, in this world and the hereafter. فقال الصحابة كيف يا رسول الله. So his companions around him asked, how is this the case? How do you have more right to him? So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, الأنبياء إخوة من علات. The prophets are half brothers. وأمهاتهم شتى. Although their mothers are different, وَدِينُهُمْ وَاحِدٌ, for their religion is one. All the prophets called to the same religion. And what religion was that? The religion of pure submission to Allah, the Almighty alone, to worship none other but Him Azza wa Jal. فَلَيْسَ بَيْنَنَا نَبِيٌّ, and there was no prophet sent between him and I. Meaning there was no prophet sent between Jesus and Muhammad alayhima as-salatu was-salam. No one. I repeat, no one loves, respects and honors Jesus alayhi salam more than the Muslims. I say that's a big claim. How is that so? Let me prove it. It's not just about claiming this love. True love is proven on the limbs, not only on the lips. If you're married and you say to your wife, I love you, I love you, I love you, but you never show anything for it, you never hug her, you never kiss her, you never take her out, that's called cold love. It's not just about having a love in the heart, that needs to be manifested on the limbs. So how is this so? 7 ways among many, and you can use these when you are discussing with non-Muslims, especially Christians, to show them how we honor, we revere, we respect Isa alayhi salam more than any other people. How is this the case? Number 1, there is an entire chapter in the Quran named after the mother of Jesus, Maryam. That is chapter number 19. A whole chapter dedicated, named after her. This is a virtue not even found in the Bible. Also, she's the only woman mentioned by name explicitly in the Quran. SubhanAllah, the only woman. And this shows you that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did not author the Quran. Firstly, he couldn't read or write. But if he did author it, he would probably, you would think, he would name a chapter after his mother's name, but he doesn't. Or after his wife's name, or his daughter's name. But no, there's no chapter in the Quran named after the Prophet Muhammad's mother, sister, daughter, wife, no. But rather after the mother of Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, son of Mary. Number 2, whenever we hear Isa alayhi salam's name, Jesus' name, what do we say? As Muslims, we're supposed to say alayhi salam, peace be upon him. Look at that respect every single time. Why? Because we've given him that honorific title out of respect. Just like when you see a doctor, you don't say, hey doc, or you call him by his first name, hey Muhammad, Doctor so-and-so, or Shaykh so-and-so, or Scholar so-and-so, out of respect. Or we say alayhi salam, peace be upon him. When other people hear his name, namely Christians, what do they say after his name? Absolutely nothing. And unfortunately, some people have attributed curses to his name. May Allah Azza wa Jalla protect us. Number 3, it's common practice among Muslims to name their children after him. Isa. Isa means, of course, Jesus. It's very common in our ummah. It's very common amongst Muslims. But it's very uncommon for the non-Muslims to name their children Jesus. That's number 3. Number 4, we imitate him, we resemble him in speech. In John 20 verse 21, it says, and again, meaning he's always saying this. What is he always saying? And again, Jesus said, peace be upon you. And that's exactly what we say when we greet each other with the Islamic greeting, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. So we imitate him in speech. Also, we imitate him in worship. Once again, in the Bible, don't take my word for it. In the Garden of Gethsemane, it's mentioned that Jesus worshipped, he prayed to God, and he put his forehead on the ground in prayer. And that's exactly what we do at least 5 times a day, when we make the sajda, the prostration, in our 5 daily prayers. Number 6, we imitate him in dress and appearance. We dress modestly, the long garments, even the so-called pictures of Jesus, we don't, of course, commend, we don't approve of, but even in those so-called pictures, they show Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, with the beard, dressing modestly, etc. His mother wearing the shawl, the headscarf. So we imitate him, as we said, in dress and appearance, and of course many other ways. Among them, we will circumcise on the 7th day, a common practice of Muslims today. So as we said, true love is proven on the limbs, not just on the lips. Last year I was in a Liverpool pharmacy, and as I was standing in line waiting for my medicine, a person comes next to me waiting, and he's looking at me up and down. Not something new when you're dressed like this. So he's staring at me. So I looked towards him. I said, are you okay? Everything all right? He says, Ana Masihi. I'm a Christian Arab. I said, good for you. He says, one question. Why do you wear this dress and why do you grow the beard? I said, among many reasons, Jesus is my role model. He was dumbfounded. He had nothing to say. He was speechless. He just stared at me, mouth gaping wide. And then one thing led to another. And then he asked for a copy of the Quran in English and Arabic, so he could see himself how we honor Isa, Jesus, the son of Mary. And as Muslims, we testify to his miracles, the miracles of Isa alayhi salam, without exaggerating him to the status of divinity, to the status of a God or the Son of God. So we affirm his miracles as mentioned in the final revelation of the Quran. And I'll mention just a few. Number 1, he spoke in the cradle. That was his first miracle. Not turning water into wine. No, his first miracle, as Allah said in Surah Al-Imran, وَيُكَلِّمُ النَّاسَ فِي الْمَهْدِ وَكَهْلًا. Isa alayhi salam will speak to the people continuously. In the cradle, in the mahd, literally. As a baby, as a newborn. Allahu Akbar. What were his first words? He said, Inni Abdullah. No doubt about it, I'm the slave of Allah. He could have just said, Ana Abdullah. I'm the slave of Allah. He said, Inni. Inni in Arabic is to remove doubt. Don't doubt this. Because people are going to doubt later on. They're going to attribute divine qualities to him, saying, no, I'm not divine. No doubt I'm a slave of Allah, and that's an honorific title, to be a slave of God. It is. Because people, they find pleasure, they find honor in the ones that they serve. I've got a very high position serving this big CEO or this big company, or people who, for example, guarding the Queen at Buckingham Palace. They take pride in that. Serving a king or a queen, or we take pride being slave to the most merciful master, Allah Azza wa Jal. So Allah said He's going to speak to the people in the cradle, and He did so. He said, no doubt I'm a slave of Allah. But Allah Azza wa Jal didn't just say He's going to speak to the people as a child. Allah said, وَيُكَلِّمُ النَّاسِ فِي الْمَهْدِ وَكَهْلًا, as an adult. You said, okay, speaking to people as a newborn is a miracle. But what's so miraculous about speaking to the people as an adult? Where's the miracle there? We're adults, we speak. What's so special about that? This has two interpretations among many. The first, what this means, is that when He's taken to Allah, we know as Muslims that He wasn't crucified, He was taken to Allah, taken to God, and He will return. And when He does return, the first words He will say is Inni Abdullah. Again, the exact same words that He said and spoke of when He was a newborn. No doubt I'm the slave of Allah. In other words, for the past 2016 years, you've people been getting it all wrong. I'm not God, I'm not the son of God, I'm a slave of Allah, no doubt about it. I'm a slave of God. That's the first interpretation. The second is that He's the only prophet to be taken by Allah to the heavens and then return and then thousands of years later and continue His human speech right here on earth. In other words, no other prophet has had that miracle. Right? It's as if someone pressed pause on his voice box. And He was speaking on earth, and then He was taken, and then He comes back, and then He continues that speech. You see the miracle? No one has had that, literally, to be taken and come back thousands of years later and continue their speech right here on the planet. So that's the miracle in Him speaking as an adult. Among also the miracles, Allah mentions only 3 ayat later, 3 verses later, that Jesus Himself tells the people, قَدْ جِئْتُكُمْ بِآيَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. I've come with clear, miraculous, manifest signs from Allah, from God. Among them, أَنِّي أَخْلُقُ لَكُمْ مِنَ الطِّينِ كَهَيْئَةِ الطَّيْرِ. That I take some clay and I mold it in the shape of a bird. But it gets better. فَأَنْفُخُ فِيهِ, and I blow into it. فَيَكُونُ طَيْرًا, and it becomes a bird. It doesn't stop there. So I see Jesus perform the miracle. Look, He's giving life. It doesn't stop there. He says, بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ, by the permission of Allah. Meaning, this is not my doing. It's the doing of Allah the Almighty, not me. God is performing these miracles via me. So literally, He gave life to inanimate objects. Those are from the miracles. Also, He continues, وَأُبْرِئُ الْأَكْمَهَ وَالْأَبْرَصَ. And I cure the blind and I heal the leper. A woman came to Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, and she said to him, my son, he's blind. Do something. Help him. He merely wiped over his eyes and he regained his eyesight. SubhanAllah. Just by wiping. And the leper also, leprosy is a skin condition. So if someone had this disease, had this condition, he would merely wipe over their skin and they would be cured instantly. And that's why he's called Al-Masih. In English, the Messiah. But in Arabic, Masih, the word Masih from Masaha. Masaha means to wipe. Why? Because Allah would give him miracles, literally, He would perform miracles just by wiping over affected areas. So that's one of the meanings of Masih. It has over 50 meanings according to the Arabic language, but that's just one of them. So those are among the miracles He would perform. And why those miracles in particular? Because what was peaking at the time? Medicine. Medicine was at its peak. And there were many advancements in the time of Isa alayhi salam. And the Prophet Muhammad informed us, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that every prophet is given miracles that would assist him in helping him convince the people that they are from God. For example, in the time of Moses, Musa alayhi salam. What was peaking in his time? Magic. People looked up to the magicians. So he came with a miracle that would thwart and defeat magic, you see? So likewise with Isa, because medicine was peaking, he came with something that was better than medicine. And even till today, no one could perform the miracles of Isa alayhi salam in curing sick people, the blind, lepers, etc., despite our medical advancements. No one could do what Isa alayhi salam could do in an instant. And also, he gave life to the dead. But by His permission, Allah's permission, God's permission. As Allah said in the Quran, once again in Surah Al Imran, He said, وَأُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ, and I'll revive the dead by Allah's permission. There was once a woman at a grave and she was crying a lot, heartsore. Isa alayhi salam, he sees her in this state. He walks over to her. He says, Ya Amat Allah, O slave of Allah, Man ladhi hadath, what happened? What's going on? She says, my daughter has passed away. And I made a vow to Allah, I made a promise to God that I don't leave this grave until either one or two things happen. Either my daughter is given life again and I see her again, I'm reunited with her, or I die here trying. One of the two. I either see my daughter or I die here next to her by her grave. So Isa alayhi salam says to her, if I bring her back to life, would you believe in my prophethood? Would you believe in my message? She said, of course. So he stood at the grave of this young girl and he said, Ukhruji min qabriki. Arise from your grave. Ukhruji min qabriki. Arise from your grave. Ukhruji min qabriki. Arise from your grave. All of a sudden, the grave splits open and this young girl, who doesn't have any hair, came out in a state of horror. She was terrified, thinking it was a day of judgment. And of course, this mother who saw her daughter came out like this, she was just as shocked. So Isa alayhi salam manages to calm them both down. And said, this is your daughter. And they exchanged some words. She couldn't believe it. And then Isa alayhi salam asked her, Man ladhi akharaki? What delayed you? You know, I told you to come out 3 times. What took you so long? What happened? She says, I heard a sayha, like a thunderbolt, a loud scream and shout. Then all of a sudden Allah gave me back my body. And then I heard a second sayha, a second thunderbolt. And then behold, there was an angel sitting beside my head. And then I heard a third sayha, a third thunderbolt. And then the grave split open and I came out thinking it was a day of judgment. And so this young girl looks to her mother and she says, Ya Ummah, my dear beloved mother, do you want me to experience the pains of death twice? She said, no, of course not. Isa alayhi salam told her, it's time for you to go back into your grave. That is it. Death is only once, yes. But the scholars have stated, لِكُلِّ قَاعِدَةٍ شُذُوذُهَا. Every rule has an exception. The general rule, everyone dies once. But in this case, it was a special miracle given to Isa alayhi salam. As Allah said in the Quran, وَأُحْيِي الْمَوْتَ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. So she says, Jesus, Isa, make dua, ask God for me to make things easy because she's going to experience death for a second time. So he supplicated Allah for her, he made dua for her, she crawled back into the grave and she died for a second time. This is what we have learned from what Allah Azza wa Jalla has stated, and you'll find this in the tafsir of these ayat. And also in Surah Maryam, the surah number 19, ayah 33, Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions that Isa alayhi salam is in a state of peace. Many times over, he himself said, وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيَّ يَوْمَ وُلِدْتُ وَيَوْمَ أَمُوتُ وَيَوْمَ أُبْعَثُ حَيًّا. He has 3 times the salam, 3 times the peace. He said, peace be upon me, the day I was born, and the day I shall die. He didn't say the day I died, because as Muslims we don't believe he died. We don't believe in the crucifixion. To us Muslims, we believe that wasn't crucifixion, that was fiction. And we're going to illustrate this in a moment. So he says the day I shall die, because it's not past tense here. It would have been yawma mittu. He doesn't say that. Yawma amutu, the day I shall die. In other words, if Allah is telling him to say, peace be upon me at my birth and at my death, then surely peace in between throughout his life. Meaning he had peace. He wasn't attacked. He wasn't killed, let alone crucified. And the day I shall be resurrected. Allah is telling us, no harm shall touch Isa alayhi salam. No harm. He wasn't crucified. And if you look at Tafsir ibn Kathir, he mentions this story. That when Isa alayhi salam, Jesus the son of Mary, he felt that the people wanted to kill him. He was in his home. And he had his disciples with him, his companions with him. And the Jews surrounded his house. They wanted to raid his house. They said, you either come out, or we raid your home and we're going to get you. One of the two. You come out so we can get you and kill you, or we come in after you. So Isa alayhi salam asks his disciples around him. He said, who will take my place and will be my rafiq, my companion in paradise? This is a big sacrifice. No one volunteered except a young man, one of the shabab. A young man. The enthusiasm of the youth, subhanAllah. فَاسْتَصْغَرَهُ عِيسَى عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ. Isa alayhi salam, he belittled him. Look, you're too young, Habibi, not you, it's okay, someone else will go. He asked the second time, who will volunteer, take my place and be my companion in paradise? No one volunteered, except a young man. So Isa alayhi salam told him again, no, you're too young, stay. Isa alayhi salam accepted his volunteer. فألقى الله شبه عيسى عليه السلام على هذا الشاب. As mentioned in Tafsir ibn Kathir, Allah placed the resemblance of Isa alayhi salam on this man. In other words, this young man was made to look like Jesus, made to look like Isa ibn Maryam. Subhanallah. So he goes out and they think that is Isa, and they take him and they torture him and they crucify him and they kill him. It wasn't Isa alayhi salam. And this is what Allah said in the Quran. وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. Allah said they didn't kill him and they didn't crucify him, however it was made to appear that way. Shubha. It was made to appear doubts in regards to this. In other words, it didn't happen at all. And then when Isa alayhi salam was there, the time came for him to leave. So all of a sudden he begins to feel drowsy. And an opening in the roof, it literally opens up for him. He falls asleep and Allah raises him up to himself. And the companions around Isa see this scene. They witness it with their own eyes. They see Isa alayhi salam being taken up with their own eyes through the roof and he's taken to Allah. Once again, this is mentioned in the Quran. Allah said, Ya Isa, inni mutawaffik. Oh Isa, I'm going to put you to sleep. وَرَافِعُكَ إِلَيَّ. I'm going to take you up to myself. So he was risen to Allah Azza wa Jal. Therefore, Isa, Jesus, son of Mary, is the only prophet that has not passed away yet. So he is coming back for his second coming. Yes, Isa alayhi salam will return, and we'll give details about that in the second khutbah. أقول هذا القول وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. He didn't just tell us where he will descend, but he rather gave us the exact city, exact location, exact masjid, the description of the mosque in which Isa alayhi salam will descend. In fact, he even told us what he'll be wearing and the color of his garments. The Prophet Muhammad told us in an authentic hadith in Sahih Muslim. He said, فَيَنْزِلُ عِيسَى بْنُ مَرْيَمْ عِنْدَ الْمَنَارَةِ الْبَيْضَاءِ شَرْقَيْ دِمَشْقَ. The Prophet ﷺ said that Isa, Jesus, son of Mary, will descend near the eastern white minaret in Damascus. Where is Damascus? Present-day Syria. He didn't just tell us the location, the country, but the city, and in fact, near the white minaret. What's amazing is that when the Prophet Muhammad narrated this, there was no white minaret in Damascus. This is a clear prophecy of Muhammad ﷺ, as stated by Ibn Kathir in 741 after Hijrah. 741 years after the migration of the Prophet, he's stating this. And of course, it became painted white later on, and it's white today. It's white today. And the irony, who painted it white? Not the Muslims, but rather Christians. They were white. And they actually painted it white, subhanAllah. And the Prophet said, as he is descending, بَيْنَ مَهْرُودَتَيْن, Isa will be wearing 2 yellow garments. وَاضِعًا كَفَّيْهِ عَلَى أَجْنِحَةِ مَلَكَيْنِ. When he's descending, he'll have his hands resting on the wings of 2 angels. This amazing scene. And he'll descend at Fajr time. At Fajr, near the eastern white minaret in Damascus, and the Prophet continues, إِذَا طَعْتَأَ رَأْسَهُ قَطَرٌ. When he lowers his head, drops of water will fall from it, beads of perspiration. وَإِذَا رَفَعُوا تَحَدَّرَ مِنْهُ جُمَانُ كَاللُّؤْلُؤِ. And when he raises his head, beads like that of pearls and rubies will scatter and fall. Literally, when he raises his head, beads will fall, pearls, rubies, gems. Why? Because he was with Allah. He just came back, Allahu Akbar, and he will come to execute Al-Masih al-Dajjal, the false Messiah, and he will come and he will apply the law of Islam, the Sharia of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because Islam means submission. See, Islam isn't named after a man, it's not named after a tribe, it's not named after a cow, it's not named after these other things, but rather it's named after exactly what the Prophet's called to, and that is pure submission to the one true God, the only one worthy of worship. And he will live on earth for a total of 40 years, and then he will die here, and he'll be preyed upon by the Muslims. And Allah will cleanse the earth of filth during his time. Allah will allow the earth to bring out its blessings, and there'll be peace on earth, so much so as the Prophet Muhammad told us, that tigers will accompany cows, and wolves will accompany goats, and children will play with snakes. This is towards the end of time. And this is a blessed nation. For it started with the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and it ends with the Prophet Isa alayhi salam. And we'll end with this. Despite all of these illustrious miracles and remarkable virtues of Isa, Jesus, the son of Mary, we do not exceed the limits as Muslims with him, and make him divine. We don't say he is God or attribute God-like qualities to him. And this is why Allah said, إِنَّ مَثَلَ عِيسَى عِنْدَ اللَّهِ كَمَثَلِ آدَمَ. That the parable, the similitude, the likeness of Jesus before God is the likeness of Adam, the Prophet Adam. How? خَلَقَهُ مِنْ تُرَابٍ. He created them both from soil. ثُمَّ قَالَ لَهُ كُنْ فَيَكُونَ. Be and it is. Just because Isa a.s. was born miraculously without a father, that doesn't make him divine, that doesn't make him God or the Son of God. Because Adam a.s. was born not just without a father, but without a father and a mother. You know, some people say, yes, he's the Son of God because he was born without a father. Well, by that logic, Adam is more worthy of worship. Why? Because he was born without neither mother or father. So that's more of a miracle. But no, as Muslims we say, no, these are miracles from God. He just says, be and it is. It doesn't mean that they are worthy of worship. God is telling us that Isa and Adam are both the same. But they're not just the same in how Allah created them. They're similar in so many other ways. How, you might ask? They are both called Ruhullah, the created, blown spirit of Allah. They are both prophets. They both differ in their creation from the rest of mankind. They were both created miraculously. They were both created without a father. And they were both created from the word be and it is. And remarkably, Adam a.s., the Prophet Adam, is mentioned in the Quran a total of 25 times, no more. And Isa a.s. is mentioned in the Quran exactly 25 times, no more. Allah is telling us over and over, they are the same, they are the same. And that's a miracle. You know, how do you remember? We know the Quran was revealed not as a book. It was revealed in speech form. Over 23 years. How did the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ do that? That's impossible to do, to remember something you said 23 years ago. Let alone 23 seconds ago is probably hard enough. 23 years, how do you make both names occur in the Quran? 25 times. As Muslims, we don't say he's God, because he worshipped God. When he was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, as we said, who's he praying to? Himself? It's illogical. He came to call to the worship of God. And there is neither an explicit statement from Jesus, even in the Bible, where he says, I am God, worship me. Never. You'll never find it. He never said, I am God, worship me. And we can't get anyone to bring a verse from the Bible where he says, I am God, worship me. It doesn't exist. And we can't say in some way, claim, no, he's not God. He's half God, half man. You know, he's a bit of both. That also doesn't make sense. Why? Because define for me God. God is all-knowing, all-wise, ever-living, all-hearer, all-seer. That's how you define God. What about man? He's not all-knowing. He's not all-wise. He's not the all-seeing. He makes mistakes. He's not all-hearing. So you can't have both of those qualities in one. You know, he's all-seeing, but he's not at the same time. And he's all-hearing, but he's not at the same time. So either he's God or he's not. One of the two. So he can't be half God, half man. You can't have both qualities. It's like having an object saying, this is a squared circle. It's either got the properties of a square or the properties of a circle. One of the two, by definition. It doesn't make sense. And neither do we say in India that he's the Son of God. As Muslims, we don't believe this, because we believe as Muslims to say he is the Son of God, that's an insult to God. How is it an insult? I'll give you a parable you can relate to. If you had a child, and I said, MashaAllah, look at your beautiful kid. He's so cute, looks like a pig. Your son is so cute, looks like a rat. Your son is so cute, looks like a monkey. That's an insult. Why? I'm comparing your son to an animal. Creation to creation. When you compare creation to creation like that, that's an insult. Imagine when you compare creation, Jesus, to Creator, God. That's an insult to Allah. That's what we believe as Muslims. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla, the Most High, to make you and I, to make us all among the true followers of Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, the son of Mary, and all the prophets. Ameen. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداء الدين واحمي حوزة الإسلام يا رب العالمين.
قد أناب وإلى الله استجاب إن من يرجو الثواب لا يبالي بالصعاب.